Welcome. Welcome to week 2 of this 8-week winter wellness series brought to you by Berkshire Health System's Wellness at Work team. So we put this series together to really provide you with tips and tools to help you navigate these stressful times and also to help reconnect your mind, body, and soul. Okay. There we go. Whoop. Let's go back. I'm Sarah Hawkins. I am the wellness dietitian here, and my topic is mindful nutrition. So I want to take you on a little journey, a short journey, starting up top with the mind, take you to the body, and then we'll round trip again back to the mind. Along the way, we will explore the communication signals that occur between the brain and the gut, and we'll look at how nutrition plays an important role in enhancing the communication signals and enhancing that journey. So if you think about it, our body is this amazing machine that has the ability to self-repair if only we tune into what our body is telling us that it needs and then provide it with the tools to help self-heal and repair. It all starts with awareness. So mindfulness is one form of awareness meditation that originates in Buddhism and encourages moment-to-moment awareness of thoughts, feelings, sensations without judgment. So it's a practice that involves tuning into the signals that are sent by our body, which our body is tirelessly trying to get our attention with these signals. You may have heard of Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn. He's the founder of a mindfulness-based stress reduction program at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. It's for patients suffering from chronic pain. And what he discovered was that patients would often try and avoid pain. But in that avoidance came even more distress. And practicing mindfulness was a more successful approach. It teaches participants to respond to stressful situations mindfully using awareness and acceptance. So that awareness is the knowledge and the ability to focus on one's inner process and your experiences in the present moment. And the second part is the acceptance, the ability to observe your own thoughts and actions and then accept them rather than judge or avoid. So in recent years, the practice of mindfulness has become more of a mainstream practice. I dare say that many physicians feel more comfortable encouraging mindfulness practice to their patients if they're experiencing depression or anxiety or stress. And it has really helped thousands of people live more intentionally and develop skills to manage chronic pain, disease, sleeping problems, and anxiety. So type of mindfulness practices could be meditation, breathing exercises, body scanning, journaling, practice of gratitude, and mindful eating. Here we go with the nutrition piece. So mindful eating, taking mindfulness a step further, applying it to a meal or a snack, defined as being in the moment while you eat, using all your senses, and most importantly, without judgment. So again, it's about awareness and acceptance, taking pause to allow your body to focus on the food or the snack awareness of your own feelings of hunger or fullness, taking that time to really observe, feel, taste, smell, savoring not only the moment, but the flavor and the texture of the food and how it was prepared. The acceptance part is allowing yourself to enjoy the food and not judge whether the food is good or bad for you. Not an easy task to do, but with practice, it can become a habit. So we've talked about the awareness, the acceptance. What does this do to our body? So the relaxing and slowing down just to eat can put your body into what's called a rest and digest state. This can enhance your body's ability to actually absorb and manage the nutrients. Otherwise, if you're eating while you're stressed or distracted, your body is going to focus on that distraction versus focusing on the food and actually processing the food. So this practice of mindful eating has helped people gain awareness of their eating habits and of how food makes them feel. It's actually shown to promote better weight management, reduce binge eating, and improve overall wellness. So it's about reconnecting the signals and hearing those signals between mind and body and getting back to intuitive eating. So the last time we were mindful eaters was when we were infants. We knew how to cry out or fuss when our body needed refueling. So somehow most of us have lost that ability, maybe due to social pressures to eat a certain way and to look a certain way and not eat too much, or the dietary guidelines dictating what we should or shouldn't eat. So all these external pressures and messages that have almost muted our internal communication, our intuitive eating capabilities, those signals are getting muted or lost. We have become mostly mindless eaters. Make it fast, eat it fast. As a Harvard professor of psychology, Ellen Langer started studying mindlessness in the 70s. And with 40 years of research, she reports that the evidence shows that we are just not there most of the time. She also states that when you are mindless, you're not able to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves, and you're not able to avert danger not yet arisen. You're not there, and you're oblivious to not being there. Another study, one study of 5,000 people of 83 different countries estimated that 47% of waking life is in a state of distraction. And they concluded in the study that a state of distraction was typified by lower levels of well-being. We are just so busy with the external pressures of life that we may have overlooked our internal messages. This disconnected state leaves us quite vulnerable to the negative health effects of stress. So you can see this lack of awareness or the state of distraction can really lead to us misreading or overlooking the signals that our body is desperately trying to get to us, especially when we are in need of self-care. So the data shows that when people are generally more mindful, they benefit physically and psychologically. So food for our thoughts. If we start with awareness, learning how to feel those hunger cues, those fullness cues, learning how food makes us feel, and then if we want to feel our best, The next step is to hopefully choose foods that feed our brain and that enhance and optimize these connections and improve our mental health and well-being, stress resilience. So this is a fairly new field called nutritional psychiatry, or food is mood. The role of diet and nutrition on mental health is complex and has yet to be fully understood, but the research shows that our food choices really affect our mental health, mood, and temperament. We are what we eat, so to speak. So the role of diet and nutrition on mental health is very complex and, yet fully to be understood. Certain dietary patterns are linked to changes in our brain that can help decrease inflammation and help our neurons to reconnect, which can ultimately help us relieve stress, fight depression, as well as help reduce the risk of some neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. So what can affect brain health? Well, while there are no definitive studies to show that sugar directly causes depression or anxiety, there are studies that link dietary patterns that are high in processed foods and refined carbs and sugar, link it with an increased risk of depression. Whether that is due to blood sugar dysregulation, an imbalance of brain chemicals, brain inflammation, or an interference of that tryptophan serotonin conversion, or even the displacement of nutrients with the non-nutritive sugary processed foods. The studies still point to a whole foods dietary pattern as providing a protective effect for heart and brain health. But we should acknowledge that cutting down on sugar and processed foods is not an easy thing to do. We have to admit that. Our body and brain get used to that increased supply of sugary foods that actually initially do soothe and calm our nerves. But this cycle of constant intake can create a highly addictive sugar craving. One way to counteract the harmful effects of high sugar intake is to practice mindful eating. Getting back to listening to your hunger and fullness cues and not waiting till you are starving to eat and just looking for anything to fuel your body. One way to counteract the harmful effects is mindful eating. Another is to aim to balance the blood sugars by eating well-balanced meals, quality fat, protein with each meal, and whole grains throughout the day, and again, observing your hunger cues. Something else is food sensitivities also can affect our mood. There are studies to support the gluten-mood connection, a possible link between brain function and gluten malabsorption. So there's been a wide range of non-digestive symptoms have been associated with the non-celiac wheat sensitivity, from headache to fatigue to depression. So definitely more research is needed in that area, and something to consider and discuss with your doctor and your dietitian. So the brain-nourishing nutrients. While I generally recommend whole foods and not the individual nutrients, this is just to give you an idea of some of the nutrients that have been studied to show that they do help improve brain health. Okay, so omega-3 fatty acids These are found in fatty fish, nuts, seeds, pasture-raised eggs. And interesting to know that omega-3 fatty acids actually make up a large portion of the brain's structure and nerves. They're important for the function of neurotransmitters, the communication signals, in particular serotonin. So a low intake of omega-3 fatty acids from fish in particular, the EPA and the DHA, don't make me say those words, has been linked to depression, eating disorders, and sleep disorders. So the American Heart Association recommends about 1,000 milligrams of omega-3 per day. The National Institute of Health recommends about 650 milligrams a day. The average daily intake of Americans is 180 milligrams a day. So something definitely to look into and consider. Also, B vitamins, very important. You've got the B12, B6, the folate. They have all been shown to have an effect on keeping depression at bay and mood elevated. So B12, you'll find in animal foods, eggs, fish, meat, dairy. B6, mainly pork, poultry, peanuts, oats, and B6 in particular definitely has a calming effect, and it's needed to produce serotonin. Folate, leafy greens, that's why leafy greens are so important to get every day. Beans and lentils, also a good folate source. Protein. Brain cells actually communicate with one another via neurotransmitters that are made up of amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. Having a quality protein in your meal also helps to blunt any blood sugar spikes. So it's providing good amino acids for neurotransmitters and helping regulate blood sugar. And a plant-rich diet. I think out of all the diets that are out there, well, maybe excluding one, a plant-rich diet is really encouraged, especially the bright colored, sort of eat the rainbow, not Skittles, of plant foods. They've got a wealth of phytonutrients that have a protective effect on your heart and brain, as well as the fiber that has a protective effect on your gut microbiome, helps to feed the good bacteria. And you've got the probiotics, the fermented foods, so feeding your gut, feeding the good bacteria, so providing the good bacteria from fermented foods, and then also feeding the good bacteria by providing it those good prebiotic fibers. So most fiber is going to be good for your gut, but specifically things like asparagus, bananas, leeks, leafy greens, Jerusalem artichokes. All right, so while I did just talk about specific nutrients, this is one example where it gets all put together into this MIND diet, clever acronym. It's the Mediterranean Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. So the DASH is the, if you've never heard of it, it's the dietary approach to stop hypertension. This diet was developed, obviously, combining the two, the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet. It was designed to prevent dementia and loss of brain function as you age. So the research done on this combination diet shows that following this pattern can actually slow the risk, slow cognitive decline, and cut risk of Alzheimer's by 53%. And even if it's followed moderately, it still shows a 35% reduction of risk. Now, I'm not a big fan of diets, but what I do like about this nutrition pattern, we'll call it, is that there are no set guidelines on how to follow the MIND diet, only recommendations to eat more from the 10 foods that are highlighted. And then eat less, of course, there's always restrictions, right? Eat less of the 5 food groups shown there to limit. While there may be some differing views on the health benefits of certain foods, my takeaway is that the optimal nutrition intake should be a lifestyle pattern, rich in vegetables, fruit, nuts, pulses, fish, healthy fats, and limited in sugary and processed quality foods. So while there's not and should never be one diet for everyone, what I've outlined here is a brief summary of what the current research is telling us about the benefits of slowing down to listen to our body signals and being able to reinforce the connection between the brain and the gut, and how our mental health can be really influenced by how and what we eat. So it's up to you to discover what works for you and what doesn't. Maybe starting with self-awareness, an awareness and acceptance of how we nourish our body and brain, then taking action to choose the foods that best nourish us, mind, body, and soul. Okay, so a few references there. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this information helpful and informative. I invite you to try a 5-day mindful eating challenge on your own. Just pick one meal for each day for 5 days and practice eating mindfully and see what insights you may have about yourself. I love this little cartoon here. Stress relief techniques include meditation, slow breathing, and visualization of chocolate bars. Now, I would disagree with that slightly and go a step further and not just visualize a chocolate bar, but really enjoy it. Eat it mindfully, savor the experience, the flavor, and the taste. So next week, come back and see us again, same time. We'll bring the topic of digital detox, the benefits of unplugging, by my colleague, Beth Piantoni. All right, thanks for joining me. And now, let's see if I can stop share and we will see if there's any questions in the Q&A. No questions? Well, thank you for joining me today. Oh, I see I have 1, 2. Thank you. Can we get that chart? Which chart was that? You like the mind diet chart, maybe? That you can look that up, and there's many different displays of the mind diet. But I can certainly see if I can send that out to you. Yes, that's what you meant. Okay. All right. Nothing more. Thank you all for joining me today, and hopefully we see you again next week. Very good. Thank you.